You know, I've been playing Payday 2 for a while, and if you asked me if the game was any good, I still couldn't tell you. That game being the Payday I'm supposed to play.
Listen up! This is a robbery!
While I spend half of my time doing this. How much dodge can you get with that perk deck for it? And well, there's a good reason for that. Half of the game is designing different builds and playstyles, and I worry that a lot of people miss out on the true potential here. So, let's cook up something spicy. Boom, there we go. If we're talking meals, you gotta know how to make them. Since Payday is now long in the tooth, the level of play gravitates towards the highest difficulty level, using the best recipes that someone else has prepared. An extra challenge is fun, and these recipes are certainly good. But you're missing out this way, because cooking is fun in its own right. Even if you create mediocre meals, you'll appreciate the dash of salt from all the sweat you put in. Whether you're just getting into the game or you're a weary veteran, this will breathe new life into the whole experience. I don't want to show you the best builds, I want to show you fun builds, and how to make ones just like them. And they'll be yours, no recipes required. Ever heard of the Thanatos? It's deadly, imposing, disgustingly powerful. Some would say cumbersome, slow to take out, slow to reload, not much ammo. This thing is niche. The good news is, we can make it better. Skills are your ingredients. They can introduce new flavors to builds, but also enhance weaker ones. Your creations will sink or swim by how tactfully you've chosen them. In this case, there's a whole set of skills specifically for snipers, ones which speed up the reloading process and garnish with extra damage. Here's my first piece of advice when cooking. Start with an ingredient that you really like. In this case, I want this excessive, slightly silly weapon to be the centerpiece. Look for skills directly related to that core focus. For example, High Value Target offers a 50% damage increase for long-range shots. I happen to have chosen the sniper with the highest damage in the game. 50% of big is huge. After that, you can branch out and shop around. You want to balance the taste. I need an offhand weapon that I can use if I don't have time to reload. Are there any weapon-specific skills that I can use? Aha! When overkill is aced, snuffing out lives with a shotgun gives 75% more damage to all carried guns. It also improves the weapon switch speed. So, as long as we open with a volley of shotgun fire, we can transform the slow behemoth into a deadly combo finisher. There are 4 constants for every build, and you should always have each of these boxes ticked. Weapons, deployables, skills, and perk decks, which are strong preset skills you can layer on top. Any of these can be the starting point for a build. Let's look at one designed around skills. Here's a fun idea. How would you create a strategic build in Payday? Well, with resource management and area control, via deployable sentries and hostage-taking skills. We've selected our theme, so now we want a worthwhile perk deck. Crew Chief incentivizes keeping a close eye on hostages, and the health, armor, and stamina rewards get dished out to your entire crew. This build has a unique quirk. It always starts off weaker. When a heist begins, it's a frantic rush to set things up before the heavy units arrive, plonking down sentries in good locations and moving civilians to a secure position, which feeds support to your team. Once a cop is dominated and converted on side, the additional benefits from hostage-taking skills kick in. Then you can rest easy. The game basically plays itself. The only problem is getting those units converted in the first place. Cops are dropped where you set up shop because lead is fed to their heads, thanks to a wonderful quirk of design where sentries keep firing on units until they hit the final stage of domination. This means you have to be tactical with sentry placement to give yourself a safe location to convert units. The mechanics in this build actively work against each other. This glazing of Payday jank affects all kinds of builds in unpredictable ways. Your greatest foe is often a developer in Overkill Software who wrote an innocuous piece of code a decade ago and promptly forgot about it. Now, for this build I could just run with rifles, but sentries chew up ammo at an alarming rate, and there's an important balancing mechanic the game doesn't teach you: ammo pickup rates. Cops drop pickups, but the amount of ammo you receive depends on the gun you're carrying. This allows for unusual setups like this. You can start a build with looking up these rates online, but I want to stress that experimentation is far more fun than letting figures decide for you. Try something first, see how it feels, then you can investigate how it works. I say this because once you do, there's a wealth of hidden mechanics to dive into. Really high pitch. Tase me! Yes! You fool! The fact that weapons take different lengths of time to equip, the impact of effective health, armor gating. Anyway, I'd recommend having a set goal in mind when designing a build. This management style build is primarily intended as a support role. Over the years, Payday Balance has increasingly emphasized a lone wolf playstyle, but a build like this lets the game's collaborative groundwork shine through. You can't fault a good side dish. With that in mind, why don't we try making something a bit more selfish? I'll be the first one to admit that this one is just a wee bit too counterculture. I said start with a goal? Well, the goal of this one is to have the fastest draw in the West. Or rather, the fastest reloading speed. After picking up some speedy irons and slapping on every reloading skill I could find, it's important to make the build actually functional. Think of it like the old cowboy dish, the son of a bitch stew. The book Come and Get It, The Story of the Old Cowboy Cook by Raymond F. Adams demonstrates how this delicate process is achieved. Kill a calf, then chuck everything in, with the toughest items cooking first. In the spirit of this dish, let's throw every ability possible at this build. Some cooks used chilies. The Grinder perk deck lets you rapidly heal from damage dealt, which is definitely spicy. Some used onions. A 30% chance of critical hits is also quite intense. Then, I picked up skills to compensate for the Heather SMG's poor ammo economy, and also a skill to make body shots function like headshots. Now, let's see how well this works. It doesn't. Simply put, there's no good reason to reload this fast, and it comes at the cost of survivability and damage output. In the clips so far, I haven't even used any reloading skills, and I bet you didn't even notice. That's because it's already fast, 1.3 and 2 seconds respectively. The extra increases are just excessive. Imagine being one of the cops up against this. You finally worn the assailant down thinking, thank goodness they're finally reloading, you blink. They've already loaded 3 separate weapons. Your job is a farce. I forgot to mention the key ingredient in the son of a bitch stew, the gut marrow, a small section of tubing connecting the calf's stomachs. Though small, this gave a distinctive taste that, despite the dish's dire sounding recipe, was apparently quite tasty. Rapid fire reloading makes this build frantic and wild. It's a distinct, unique flavour, just like the gut marrow. My favourite builds all use what I call tentpole skills, distinct mechanics that you design everything else around. For example, critical hits, sentries, akimbo weapons. Start your builds here and only worry about small stat increases afterwards. Finally, spend the leftover skill points on general purpose skills, such as stamina and damage resistances, which generally cost fewer points and can be applied to any build. Here are the skills I used on this build. I wasn't able to fix it, but maybe you can. If you manage to keep its core identity while making it more useful, please let me know. Now for the logical extreme, a build with only tentpole skills. Every skill in the game can be bought at a basic and ace level. In general, it makes sense to ace a skill you've already invested points into. Aced skills at the highest tier are some of the most powerful in the game, so it's common to pick up 2 or 3 of them. That said, if you decide not to do that, you can get 6 of them at the basic level. I took some time to find which ones had the best interplay. Some skills work naturally together, and builds can end up designing themselves. Say that you're in the tank sub-tree, trying to get the extra armor in tier 4. Some of the skills in the tiers below also grant extra armor, so picking those can maximize the output. In the end, I picked up Inspire to revive teammates quickly, Iron Man for armor, Sneaky Bastard for a chance to dodge bullets, and Unseen Strike for critical hits. Now, those last two require an easily concealed weapon. A logical choice from there would be modified shotguns, and as such, Overkill in the shotgun tree is a good final skill to choose. Builds in Payday are typically based on either armor or dodge. Armor lets you sustain incoming damage at the cost of movement speed. Dodge lets you move faster and avoid a percentage of bullets coming your way. But when those bullets hit, they pack a punch. This build is a hybrid of both, but with little armor and only a 10% chance to dodge, I thought it was doomed to fail. Little did I know, picking the right perk deck makes it quite formidable. No salad is complete without the right dressing, and perk decks can transform otherwise unassuming builds. In this case, Sicario increases the base dodge level to a moderate 25%, but its core mechanic, a deployable gas canister, grants a ludicrous amount of dodge on top of that. This means you rarely ever get shot, and when you do, the armor soaks most of it up. I would recommend thinking outside the box when creating builds. Holy hell.
What?
Remember I said, what if you could kill yourself to trigger the infinite ammo? How long does the effect last? 6 seconds.
It says that it doesn't work on Fall or Fire.
Uh-huh.
So you could trigger it through an RPG.
In theory, and you're going down 54 times. What's that come out to? 5 minutes, 24 seconds of infinite ammo. This line of thinking typically results in a weaker build, but it's always more exciting than, it's powerful and it shoots things, I guess. Besides, if it really doesn't work, just slap a powerful perk deck on it. Okay, I've waited long enough, it's time to talk about how this game is balanced. It leaves something to be desired. Credit where it's due, most weapons are now viable, and over the years they clamped down on stupidly under and overpowered skills. It used to cost 12 whole points for a 30% shop discount, but only 9 for a 30% indiscriminate increase to damage on silenced weapons. We're thankfully long past those times, but some balance issues remain to this day. Shot of the century! So, this build is designed around single-fire weapon skills. By modifying an assault rifle or SMG, you can benefit from an improved reload speed and an ammo refunding mechanic. These skills honestly don't justify crippling an automatic weapon. Most skills in the subtree are really only intended for snipers. It's indicative of a general balance issue. Too often, you're pigeonholed into playing a certain way. Some subtrees are just too restrictive, like the stealth one that offers little for loud heists. On the other hand, the skills that open up choices and opportunities really let this system shine. The sentry tree lets you carry a second deployable, and neither of them need to be a sentry. The overkill skill, when aced, lets you improve any offhand weapon, not just shotguns. Sadly, in too many cases, skills end up restricting options rather than opening them up. Take Heavy Impact, which provides a chance for shots to knock enemies down. If you apply this to single-fire rifles, it feels amazing. It's as if the sheer force of your bullets pushes people to their knees. But Stagger, like many stunning properties, is mostly a waste of time. Poison, electricity, fire, and technically domination all weaken and stall the enemy, where a single headshot can instead take them out permanently. In fact, it can make things more difficult. A staggered enemy moves around a lot more, making it harder to hit their head. The one enemy type that wouldn't typically die in a single shot is the bulldozer, but stagger doesn't even work on them. This is why I'm not telling you which skills are the best and worst. I expect that the game's balance is going to change again, like it has many times before. I'd say it's more productive to learn how to make a fun build, rather than memorize a meta that could change at any time. I'm not teaching to the test. In the spirit of experimentation, you should also know that with each ascending difficulty level, you will find fewer wacky builds that work comfortably. For this reason, I haven't considered viability at death sentence difficulty. I would recommend starting on a lower level like Overkill to experience the widest build variety possible. Then, if you want a greater challenge, you can customize the more powerful ones. Now, let's use all of these tips to design something cool. So, first of all, let us consider the core focus. We could pick a cool weapon or skill, but we've already done those. Let's take a perk deck. I haven't used Sociopath before, so I asked my friend the Frumentari how best to use it. At this point, we've reached a revelation.
The first one that gives armor back says killing an enemy regenerates armor. The second one says
Medium range.
killing an enemy at medium range. That armor had exactly 60 armor, which is what you get per kill. So if you kill somebody with a sniper rifle at 1 second, and then half a second later you kill someone at medium range, and stagger these, you can permanently keep up your armor get.
So a ranged kill,
Ranged, medium, ranged, medium, medium. And theoretically you can't die.
Normally you would want a large reserve of armor to absorb damage, but here we've discovered that if you kill quickly enough with this perk deck, you actually don't need a large armor pool. For this build to work, it requires a ranged weapon and a close quarters one, so the logical next step is to pick those up.
It would need to be something that can be swapped to quickly. What if you were to have a revolver? You think your primary could also be revolvers, but 2 of them?
Now we're looking at the tentpole skills. Since we're carrying pistols, the pistol-specific skills buff the damage, reload speed, and hence the overall effectiveness of these guns. There. Now we can shop around. Iron Man gives some additional needed armor. This build is a hectic one in theory, relying on constant damage output at different ranges, but it can be made even sillier. Berserker and Frenzy subtract most of the health pool and trade it for damage resistance and bonus weapon damage.
If you pick Frenzy, 69 health, 84 armor, how confident are you?
Not at all. Then, skills for critical hits. In theory, if you can take out targets even faster, you can recover even more armor. However, if you miss, you're left with a pitiful amount of health. High risk, high reward.
The Peacekeeper is still gonna take 5 decades to reload.
Except for this.
Oh yeah, you just use Bloodthirst, wouldn't you? So it'd be like, punch someone, get some health back, reload the Peacekeeper, and you're ready to go again.
The last few skill points go to general purpose skills. Underdog for extra damage resistance, and Second Wind to allow a quick getaway when the armor breaks. Now, to test it.
Those weren't headshots. That took nothing. Good God, the damage output.
Oh, he's not dead. Listen up. Let's go.
Hey,
let's go.
Oh.
Where's that stupid sniper? No, oh my god. Okay, it doesn't quite work yet, but there's clearly something here. Time to tweak it. The damage output is so incredibly high that crits aren't really needed. Reallocating those points into survivability could help matters.
If you go to Fugitive, there's a tree in the middle that's funny.
For reference, this subtree lets you revive with more health available, go down an extra time before entering custody.
Feign Death Ace would make me so hard.
Oh, and there's also a flat 45% chance to just immediately get back up again. Oh my god, I'm getting sniped out the sky. What the? That's not fair. Oh, nice. So, this is a dumb build, but well, it actually kind of works. We wanted a true glass cannon, something that would hold its own as long as you meet the exact conditions. And, well, that's certainly what we got. Get me out of here.
It's stressful to watch as well. I'm sorry, just the comedic effect of a man running across a street, stopping for a second, pulling out another revolver and shooting. He's like, oh, I need a good one for this. Reactionary gameplay. Good. Stab. No, why'd that miss? I didn't go through the wall. Here, he's dead. He's dead. It's okay. It's okay. I'm okay. Things are fine. Good. God. Survival is a full-time job. You start doing things right and you instantly go back to full. Did you just empty a magazine into a wall?
Thanks for the free reload. And that is how it's done. Not too difficult, eh? So now, if you're making your own builds, I've got a list of cool mechanics and systems you could consider as a focus, though there's plenty more than this. The best heists for testing are similar to the ones listed here. If you're testing builds frequently, you want heists that throw enemies at you instantly to save on waiting. I'm personally fond of Birth of Sky and Alaskan Deal. With this and the rest of the advice in this video, you should have everything you need to start cooking up your own bizarre builds and unlocking this whole new side to Payday. Bon appetit!